Welcome back to Karuna Satori Basic, everybody. So this video was highly anticipated for a while. I posted that IDK update video about, a week ago, I believe. And I have filmed this video 4 times for 40 minutes each. I'm not kidding you. I have filmed this damn video 4 times, like 40 minutes each, because I literally wanted to get every single point across, as I know the person that this video is about will be watching this. For some reason, this person does not like me at all, but yet it's my in-laws, but yet they, watch my videos. The other day, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, why am I hated so bad? Like, why am I always talked about negatively? Why is it so hard for some, and I'm not talking about internet or anything, like I'm talking about maybe 1 or 2 people in my 3 people. I have problems with 3 people in my personal life. Now that's out of, I don't even know how many people, but it's sad because usually people leave me alone and I leave people alone, but your past follows you, I guess, being a recovering drug addict and everything like that. So this video is part 2 of the IDK video. It's an update video on what happened with my mother-in-law and what she did to my family. So I will warn you now, I am giving a few fucking warnings before this video starts, because I'm not dealing with any repercussions in regards to drama or comments about bugs, or you'll see what I mean, but this video is dramatic, just like the IDK video. I was very hesitant putting it on my main channel, which I did. That's fine. It ended up getting amazing comments and support. Like, you guys are amazing. Like, I even said, like, I don't ever want to bring that shit to my ASMR channel. That's why I bring it all here. And I always say I'm going to post more on this channel, but I feel like my opinion really, I don't want to go overboard. Does that make sense? It's like once in a while kind of video, but there's actually going to be a video after this probably tomorrow on a conspiracy that I'm really, really excited to talk about. I'm not going to say it yet. But back to the warnings. This is a dramatic video. To the person who I know is watching this video is not meant to discriminate you. Your name will not be used. I'll say this first and foremost, is that we are not angry with you. We're not. Like I even said, my husband even said, we're not angry with you at all. We're hurt. We're very hurt, and I will explain why, because I'm not even going to say it, because I just don't want my personal life people involved in this. Now, anyway, this is under fair use. I'm allowed to tell any story because it's alleged. Everything I say in this video is alleged. I'm not saying that, whether I have proof or not, that this person did this. It's alleged, meaning innocent until proven guilty. So, which she was, but it's okay. So, if you guys watch my IDK update video, you remembered me speaking about how I stopped making videos for a good couple days, and that was because something had happened with my mother-in-law. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'll make this a very short, quick story. I'm going to try to make this as quick and as short as I can without getting too personal, and then I'll explain why this was such an issue, unless you can already tell during it. Now, the reason I'm also telling you guys this is because I'm going to give a little bit of advice. Oh, I'm so dyslexic. I was going to say, insight advice. So dyslexic. But just about, what to do whenever a whole family just seems to be against you, no matter what you do, no matter how much you change, no matter how kind you are to somebody. Sometimes in-laws, your significant other's parents just don't like you. They never will, and that's just the way it goes, That's just life. I'm very alone when it comes to stuff like that, and I'm so used to it, man. Like, I really do stand alone in my personal life. I have an army of you guys. You guys, I could ask you to go, you did, like, I asked you guys to help me expose Burnsworth, and you guys took down their website. I know you guys are an army. you guys are my army, you guys are my family, you guys are my real family, like, besides my husband and kids, and it's just so fucking refreshing knowing that. Do you know what I mean? So that's why, like, half of this shit doesn't bother me, but I've learned to stand alone. So, about 6 months ago in January, my husband and I were returned custody of our 2 children, Odin and Satori. Now, CYS had returned the custody, but the state did not, meaning there's a 5-month period after January where they watch us, make sure we're doing fine, making sure our appointments are all made up, which it was. So during that time in January, we got a notice in the mail, I believe it was in December or January, about my mother-in-law, which is my husband's mother, taking us to court for custody of our children. Now, let me make this very clear that my mother-in-law's husband has absolutely nothing to do with this. He wasn't aware of this. We feel terrible for this man. He's an amazing person, very in your face, very upfront. He just wants the best for everybody, but he's what's called balls on a chain. So we won't get into that. It's just like my husband. Vic literally, like, it's just, you know how it goes. You know, you're in love, you'll do anything for anybody. I've made mistakes with my husband and he still stayed, and there's reasons for that. You know, there's reasons this man stays with my husband's mother. You know, he loves her, and I don't blame him for that. You know what I mean? She's a very, very nice person, and that's what's so sad and nobody knows. So anyway, she went after us, and she's still going after us for custody of our kids. Now, her reasoning in the beginning is that when my children were first removed from the home, they were given to her and her husband. Now, we didn't like that, but we had no say in it, so we had to stop it. So what we did was my husband went on a car ride with her because him and I were separated, but we were still talking. We both agreed that the kids should not be with her. So we, you know, had her in the car one day. My husband was staying with her, and we got her to admit that she was selling opiates to other people around my children. Now, when I say around my children, I don't mean that she was taking my kids to drug deals. She wasn't. I'm saying in regards to her, you know, maybe doing it out of the house, that somebody would come in and buy something off her, and that's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, usually I'm the type of person who's lenient, like, I don't know, but not with that. Drugs, you know, you don't bring fucking drugs around children. I don't care if you're doing it in, like, 40 rooms across the, you get it. So, the children were removed from her, and she was deemed unfit as a grandmother to care for my kids. She didn't like that. She appealed, deny. So she ended up getting a lawyer. The lawyer, we just recently went to court with her over the custody hearing. She at first was going for full custody of my children in case the kids were not given back to us, which they were. But even though we were in court during that time, her motion was denied. So she just spent thousands of dollars to be denied in court. So then the court, or it was transferred over, I believe, to main court. Like, now we're actually going to family court or something where this will all be fit for her to fight for rights. Now, I have proof, everything, of her changing her statement, saying that she's not going after us for full custody or something, or anything. She's going after us for, in case something happens to Victor and I, meaning if we died tomorrow, that they would be the primary people for the kids, you know, to go to, which isn't the court's decision. That would never be a court's decision. That's just how it goes. That's our decision. And we were actually going to make her and her husband the godparents of my children, because my mother suffers from lupus, and she unfortunately, you know, it's very hard for her to care for my kids. You know, she'll watch them, but it gets a little much for her, and that's normal, you know what I mean? Like, but the issue with this is that we agreed to give her grandparental rights at one point. We said, we'll sign, you know, a few days, like maybe the weekends, every 2 weeks or something, where you can see the grandkids, whatever, we'll drop them off, they can spend the night. You know, we like the time off as well. Everything was situated, and at one point she was like, oh, okay, you know, we'll talk about it. So what does she do? She then just keeps the motion on. And, like, at first, we're like, okay, it's fine, you know, we'll go to court and we're going to talk it out. But she continued it even after our meeting that we had. She had the nerve to continue it instead of just dropping it right there, that everybody agreed, you know, that we could just, you know, give her some rights and everything. She's still going forth with it. But I'm very grateful because there's somebody in the family who knows how she is in regards to that. I say in regards a lot. So he is paying for our lawyer, and a very good one. So I'm very grateful for that. We actually had to take a class over this. We had to pay for it. Very small fee, but you go and they teach you about like custody court and things like that. It's very interesting, actually. It's 3 hours long. So, and this all leads up to something. So anyway, we decided when the kids were finally given back custody on June 21st, 2017, the state wasn't involved, anything. We didn't really sit her down, but we messaged, and I have all this, and I was like, look, the kids do miss you, they love you, and, you know, we need a break too. Like, we're not going to go randomly hire a babysitter off the street when we know you love our grandkid, or our kids, so do you want to see the kids? Sure, absolutely, I would love to. I miss them very much. Good. Well, there's going to be rules. I listed the rules, my husband and I spoke of it, everything's all recorded. I would never, I know better anymore. It was on my property. I record everything, absolutely every piece of audio, visual. You know, I have cameras, 6 cameras surrounding my house. My phone was recording, my husband's phone was recording, and we specifically said to her, number one, which is the first mistake that she made, that we just actually found out a few days ago. She took my children to a friend's house of hers, that we absolutely said, you will not take my children anywhere. She didn't ask for permission, she just took them wherever the hell I guess she wanted to. So, second thing is, I'll explain what she did, because there's, you know, this all comes together. So, it looked like I was like snorting something. Sorry, I always put my foundation on in the morning and like my nose gets itchy. Where am I? So we laid out some ground rules, which was basically, you don't take our kids anywhere without asking. You don't take our kids to the fucking doctor without asking. You don't smoke around the kids without, you know, being outside and they're in the vicinity, like the yard or something, then that's fine, whatever, I do that, you know. You bring the kids back on time, you always answer your phone, you always answer your text messages. We make the rules. Agreed, completely fine. So she started seeing the kids often again. Now, some people don't agree with how much maybe she would see the kids, because there's parents who give their kids up. Like, for example, me, when I was younger, I used to go to my grandmother's every single day from like noon to 6 p.m. or like 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I'd basically sleep over every single night at my grandparents' with my brother. And that's because my parents worked very, very hard, you know what I mean? Now with me, I only film in the morning, so I have all day to care for the kids. But unfortunately, being up at like 4 or 3 a.m. every day, you know, I stay up until like noon, I want to get a nap. So it's nice, you know, once in a while to have a nice break. And so she would see the kids probably 3 times a week, maybe 4 sometimes, but it was altogether in an average of 2 weeks she would see the kids. Maybe 5 days out of 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like weekends, then maybe a day in the week, or maybe more. So she saw them often, you know what I mean? She would come down to the house. First off, she agreed to not tell anybody where we lived. So what does she do? She tells her friend where we live, and we ended up running into her, and she's like, oh yeah, she told us that you lived up here, and that was her second mistake. She's breaking the rules immediately. There was a period at the end of the month where we were, you know, running out of money, so we had asked her, hey, do you mind if we borrow $30? So what does she do? She goes and is so sweet about it, comes to the house, she picks us up, you know, because I had to stay over with the kids, my husband doesn't have his license back yet, took my husband grocery shopping, was like, hey, this, so then she runs and tells someone that, you know, how we have the nerve to ask for money. You know, it's a very two-faced situation, but I'm gonna get to the point. So this is what she did. She had it all, is what I'm trying to say. She had everything. She had my kids, even after everything she's done in my past, and I have never told anybody what she's done. She's called CYS on us. She is probably 85% of the reason my kids got taken away. She took my kids to CYS physically, and she said she'd never do that again because there would never be a situation, number one, for her to do that. There was never a situation back then. If you guys want to know how my children were taken, please visit the video, why my kids were gone and everything like that. It was a very minor, but at the same time could have turned out to a major if things would have progressed. Do you know what I mean? Like, so my husband and I decided that, but anyway, she had it all, but I'm getting to the point of what happened. My husband and I decided to take a trip to Washington, D.C. about a month and a half ago, and the past few months, like, because it's gone now, and I'm gonna be very honest with you guys, I'm gonna say right now, bugs do not discriminate. I've had fleas before. When I was really little, I got lice, chicken pox. That's not a bug. Anyway, bugs don't discriminate. My mother is a very, very upfront person. This woman will tell you how it is, like, no matter what, like, whether she loves you or not, she has tough love. So basically, my house is very clean, and, you know, we both work hard to make sure that it stays that way. We moved into this house about 4 months ago. When we moved in, we started noticing little red welts, very hot, itchy welts. Not bad, maybe every once in a while, maybe a good once or twice a week. I remember, you can actually still see it, and I'll actually post in the comments. And at first they weren't in a triangle formation or in a line. Now, I don't need to tell you guys what kind of bugs they were. You can look it up. There's only one type of bug that bites in a line, not fleas. So we noticed it, and we just took it as mosquito bites. You know, they'd go away, then they'd come back every once in a while, but it was nothing we ever thought about. But my husband and I planned a vacation to Washington, D.C. because my husband's very educational. He loves to watch stuff like that, or, you know, look into history and all that happy horse shit. So we had planned to go to DC for a week, and then whenever we came back the next month, the same week, we were going to take our kids to the beach or the zoo. We didn't decide what, depended on how much I made that month. Didn't have money to waste. So we went to DC. We left the kids with my mother-in-law. I remember saying, like, you know, we're going to be messaging every day. We called every day. At the very last day that we were about to come home, she would not answer us. And then she lied and said that we didn't call her house phone, which, oh my god, I have all these screenshots. We called, we left messages, she didn't get back to us. It was just a very poor situation but anyway, the kids were fine, whatever. So we come home, and I remember we didn't pick the kids up yet from grandma's, and they spent one more night there so we could rest up. And we woke up, and my arm, like, right here, you can still see it. Like, it's like a little scar almost. It's like it flares up in a way. My hand right here was bit. My thumb right here was bit. My stomach. I don't know if you could, oh god, look at that. It's from sitting, like, with like right here maybe. Here and here was bit up. My legs, I don't know if you can still see the marks maybe. Right here, and very faintly right here was bit. I was covered, and my husband was covered, and we didn't know what it was. But he woke up, and I remember, like, he didn't want to tell me at first. Like, he was literally, like, keeping it from me because he knows how bad I hate these bugs. I was always growing up to think that people were very dirty who had them. They feed off you. They're bed bugs. I don't know why I keep trying to hide it. Like, I just told you guys to look it up. So, and it would only happen, it seemed, because I stayed on the couch that whole night. Like, I remember with Vic, and then Vic fell asleep on the couch. I was like, I'm not waking him up to go to bed, so I went to bed. But bed bug bites happen. Usually the welts will appear a day after. Like, it's very odd. So I remember I took my husband to the clinic, and we were getting ready to get the kids, and he said, I need to tell you something. I'm like, what? He's like, I stabbed some bugs last night with a toothpick. They were crawling on me. And I was like, first off, bed bugs, they don't usually crawl on you. Like they'll, if you're laying down flat on your back, like a bed bug will come up and then it will like lean up on the fabric and bite you. They won't crawl on you because if you're a light sleeper, they know they're very fucking intelligent fucking little pieces of shit. So, and they're gone now, and that's the thing. This is why it's so hard for what she did to us and what hurts so bad. So, anyway, basically, he told us, or he told me, and he was like, we have bed bugs. And I was like, no, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't. Nope, 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 nope. We go home, and I remember I bought Vic this, like, Mars rover, like, build your own metal toy thing. It was like an assembly, and there were all these little red fucking bugs on this thing, like maybe 6 of them. I'll actually, you know what, I'll post the photo in the description. Just if I don't, like, in the description, just remind me please in the comments. First negative comment about this shit, you're all getting fucking blocked. Like, well, you know what I mean. Like, there's always one person who's like, you're fucking dirty, you're a whore, you're on the meth clinic. No, I'm just very real because I'm human and I suffer from natural things that happen to people. It doesn't mean that I'm dirty. My mother, like I said, is very real. She even said, she's like, your house is spotless. I don't get it. Nobody understood where they came from. We don't know if they moved in or we moved in with them because they started happening a few weeks when we moved in, but the bites never were as bad as they were towards the end, and we went away for a week, so they weren't feeding on us, apparently. Do you know what I mean? We told my mother-in-law, and you know what? She was so supportive of it. This is what hurts the most, is she's like, oh, Sarah, Vic, it's fine. She's like, because we called Erlerick, and this was like a few days before the 4th of July, and the only day that Erlerick can come in to do an inspection was the day of the 4th of July. Most businesses are closed that day, and yes, Erlerick's office places were closed, and I'm actually gonna, well, you know what, I gotta save this shit for court, because we're still going. So anyway, they still did inspections. Like, the guy would come from his house, like, the guy rides around in his own fucking truck. So that day, she kept the kids, and Erlerick came, and it was like $800 to $1,200 for heat treatments for one room, I believe it was. Like, maybe the kitchen, it would be like $800 for the bedroom, $700 for my daughter's room because it's very small, maybe, because they judge by the width of the room. So we didn't really have the money at the time to get it sprayed, so we went out and spent over $100 on bedbug killers. Now, I don't know why they sell foggers. If you ever get bed bugs, do not fog your house. They will just go hide in the walls or in the crevices. Like, these things are smart, man. They will hide. Now, you usually find bed bugs where people sleep. Now, Erlerick did not find any in the beds, anywhere. But, and this was after we found where they were. We couldn't find where we were, and everybody seemed to be getting bit up on the couch. We looked in the couch, there was nothing. It was a $1,200 suede couch my mother had bought for us, or gave to us. And finally, I remember I was just cleaning up and like mopping the floor or something that day because I was petrified they were in the floors. And I look up, and there they all were in the couch. Like, the couch like was like a Victorian type couch, like it swirled over for the arms, and in the lining there was just a nest. Oh, I can't fucking stand them. They are petrifying little things, like, urgh. So anyway, we found them, and there were a few adults, and then the females are what you don't want. You do not want female bed bugs because they lay 3 eggs a day, every day, and over a course of their lifetime, I think they lay like 12,000, I think, or 7,000. Long story short, because I want to get to the point of this story, we found the bed bugs. It wasn't a really big thing. Immediately we threw out the couch. We threw out the recliner. We couldn't find any bed bugs on there. Didn't get any bites. Cleaned the house. We put down Demetrius earth, which is like, there's a thing called bed bug boot camp, which I'm actually going to do a video on. This could save fucking people's lives and save you thousands. Like, if you've ever heard of the laundry detergent Persil, it's an enzyme killer. It's the only detergent on the market besides like a Tide make of it. And the enzymes literally eat away at the bug. The bugs will explode. You spray around, they won't crawl anywhere near it. It definitely helps while you put down the Demetrius earth, which is a powder. It's safe to eat. It's not really safe to breathe in. Nothing really is. You put it down, we put it on our mattresses, everything, doesn't affect anything. And if the bed bugs try to crawl, they get caught in the powder almost, like it dries them out. It's incredible. It's saved us because we no longer have them. Now, she kept the kids while we did all this. Kids came home. I remember bites went away for a few days and then they started happening again. I'm sorry I'm moving so much. I have a wedgie and I'm like trying so hard to like situate myself without anybody knowing. So yeah, we kept going or whatever, and I remember she took the kids because Ulrich, we completely said screw it. But then after a few days, I remember my daughter woke up and she had another bite, only this time she had a bite right below her butt cheek. And it was like a little cluster of them. It was like little dots. Now everybody's skin reacts differently. Like I'll get the really hot welts, but then I'll get a blister on top of those welts. My daughter, it looks like poison ivy almost, little dots everywhere. And then all you see is the two little marks where the bug's feelers were in. Like everybody's skin reacts differently. So I was like, okay, we really need to, like, let's see if there's anybody, you know, more, like, anybody cheaper. So kids went back over to grandma's. And this is when it started happening. She picked the kids up, I believe, at 7 a.m. on, I don't remember what day. I apologize. I have it written down somewhere, but I didn't bring notes for this video. The plan was that Debug, it was an exterminator, was to come, I believe, that day. She was to keep the kids until 7 a.m. or like the afternoon because my husband had to go to Altoona for an appointment the next morning. Day goes by, everything's fine. Now, I'm gonna say her account of the story first, and then I'm gonna tell you how I figured out everything, how I got documentation, testimony, everything. She randomly shows up with her kids, comes pounding on our door at, I believe it was 4:30 in the afternoon, the same day she picked them up, the day they were supposed to spend the night. Now, I don't know, she brought somebody to the house, which is forbidden. She knew the rules, she disobeyed the rules. That is another thing that is not going to hold up for her. We put down boundaries, and she disobeyed those boundaries, and she brought somebody to the house. And this wasn't the first time she did it. And the reason that it was so angering to me is because this was directly after she took my children to children and youth. Yes, that is the whole point of the story. That is the miserable, horrible, hurtful thing that she did. But I'll get into how she did it. She comes back at 4:30, and the first words that come out of her mouth to my husband are, I had to take the kids to CYS. And immediately, my husband picks the kids up, takes them in the house. I remember coming out to grab the diaper bag or something, and I said, did you take my kids to CYS? She's like, yes, I did. I was like, why? Why did you do that? Why? Like, okay, so let me just get the point across to you very quickly. Why, after losing my kids, okay, because of my poor decisions in life, to hand them off to everybody else at the time, to bawl in front of them, to not be there emotionally for my children and have them taken away, and then spend 2 years for the state of Pennsylvania to say 1,000 times, you'll never get them back. But I proved them wrong. I'm a brilliant mother now. They're the happiest fucking kids on this planet. For the state of PA to never return kids, like, it's very, very seldom that they return children back to the home, and they returned my kids, meaning I did something very right to get my kids back, okay? So I get my kids back, right? Everything's going brilliant. There's no need of concern for CYS. People get bugs, people get fleas. They don't discriminate. You can get bed bugs from sitting down on a doctor's office chair because you don't spread them from like jumping. Like, you sit down next to one and it has to crawl on your clothes or in your purse, and then they go home and you set your purse down, it crawls out and it sniffs out your little pheromones and goes and has a bunch of babies. And that's where they come from. They're not contagious unless you literally unintentionally pick one up. Takes my children to the place that they were removed. But why? And see, That's the question that I don't understand, is that no matter what she says in regards to, well, I took them there because I was referred there, you don't take them there. That's a lie. You don't. You just don't take kids to children and youth unless you want them to be removed from the home. So she comes back at 4:30 and her story was, without my fucking permission, okay? I wrote her a permission slip to take to the doctors one time the day that my son had a pediatric appointment, okay? That was it. And she didn't even bring the permission slip to this place. They let her in under somebody else's name, which I'll explain. Her story, this is her story. She took the kids to pediatrics in my hometown, and they refused to see her because she wasn't on the list of people who were allowed, and she didn't have a permission slip. Now, she said she did, but they needed documentation, so they sent her away. So what does she do? The reason she took my kids in there in the first place was because she was concerned for bug bites on my daughter. I have pictures. She had pictures. First off, she took pictures of my kids without permission when she knew better. Those pictures were dated from weeks before when the bites started happening. That's whenever it was concerning that we were like, oh shit, we're all getting, eaten. Hers were getting better, everything was fine. We found 1 or 2 more bites, like I said, later on. Took care of it. Debug came in, they didn't find anything. Orkin just recently came in, they didn't find anything. Nobody's been getting bit, they're fucking gone. But back to the story. Went out 45 minutes, took my kids for concern of bug bites to a different pediatric place. Now, mind you, she drove but why? Why? Why not just take them to the hospital if you were so fucking concerned about my children, okay? She wouldn't answer us that morning for some reason. We were like, how are the kids doing? No answer. She wasn't responding to us. So she takes my kids out to pediatrics in another town, signs in. Okay, so whenever my kids were removed from her during the time that they were gone, they were given to my husband's father's wife, so my other in-law, in a way. So her name was already still on the list of people who could take them to the doctor. She signs in, which I have this all documented, audio, video, everything. I was given permission by the woman. We have printed documentation of this. She signed in as somebody else. She signed in as that grandparent. Goes to the pediatrics, and what was on the list is that concern of lice, nymphs, eggs in my son's hair, okay? Now let me tell you something right now. Bed bugs do not live in human hair. They don't live on humans at all. They don't lay eggs on humans. They stay near humans. So they would, if they were near his bed, they would be staying near his bed and then laying the eggs there, and then the nymphs would crawl up. But this never happened. This never even got bad. We found it early and took care of it very, very early, in which I'm very grateful for, thank God, because I see how bad bed bugs can get to people. You know what I mean? So that's just what hurts the most, is that she lied and said, and pediatrics, her story was that pediatrics called CYS on us there, which was impossible because they won't call over bed bug bites. So she knew that she had to make something else up for it to be concerning, because she went to she called CYS prior and said, hey, my grandkids are full of bed bugs, can you help me? And they're like, no, we don't do anything for that. So anyway, what ended up happening with pediatrics is they said that, here's some medication, we can't do anything. If you are concerned about the children's well-being, call CYS. We're not doing it. And that what was on the chart. She signed out as herself, which is complete fraud. She committed a very, very bad act of fraud, which will be taken care of not by me, but leaves with my kids. And then this is the icing on the cake. Well, no, it's almost, we're at the icing on the cake. We're not at the cherry on top. Drives my children. My heart's starting to race, because drives my children to children and youth. okay? She drives my kids to, instead of calling CYS, she drives them over to the CYS building. Her story was that she spoke to my old caseworker. CYS's story was that she spoke to the supervisor, took my kids into children and youth building, filed a report stating that I beat my son. Sorry about that, my camera went off. Somebody tried to call at like 6 a.m. Anyway, said that I beat him over the head, okay, and then put him in his room for a whole hour. Not my husband, me. It's always against me. She has always been against me. You know, I'm just so used to it by now. But the thing is that hurts the most is that she lies and acts like she's there. During my brain fog episode, and this was another allegation that she told CYS, I stated in my video that I was very close to hurting myself at the time because I was so scared in the head. I was petrified. I didn't want to live like that. Like, the brain fog was so bad. She messages me during that time and says, I'm here for you, like, I know what you're going through, let me help you, sending me links, sending me all kinds of shit, and then has the fucking nerve to go to CYS and say, she's threatening to commit suicide in her YouTube videos. So, yeah, she needed other allegations because CYS won't do anything for bugs. So she took my kids physically, claims that they took pictures of the kids, which they did not, claims that they were opening a case, which they did not, okay, so the allegations were that I was beating my son over the head, the house was infested, and not just has it, infested with fucking bed bugs, okay? Then, fucking, oh my god, like, you have no idea. I'm threatening to commit suicide. There was like 2 other allegations I can't think of right now because they were so, like, minor. It. Anyway, let's just keep going. So leaves with my kids. Then I don't know where she obviously took the kids there with that whatever that woman was. Came back to our house at 4:30, right whenever CYS closed. She came back right whenever we couldn't get a hold of anybody, of course, and drops the kids off. She was supposed to keep them until the next morning, so why all of a sudden did she show up at our house and drop off the kids? Why? Do you know what I mean? Like, why? She acted like she was in trouble for something, which now she is, like, not by me, but she's in trouble, like, trust me. So after that, the next morning, because I went to get more information that night, actually, pediatrics is open till 8 p.m. I drove, I had to go to Walmart to get a flashlight or something, and I remember driving up there, stopped at pediatrics, and the woman for like 10 minutes told me everything that happened at the Richland office, and then the next morning I called back. Now, the Richland office had stated again that they couldn't see her there, but they signed on. She's like, okay, this is the last time I'm filming, I'm sorry, I accidentally said her name, but they said that the grandparent had signed in, and my husband's father's wife had signed in. I was like, that's not her. That's not her at all. You know what I mean? So then it said, well, she signed out as herself. And I was like, I don't get it. So were both grandparents there? They're like, no, like, it's signed. I think that, you know, she committed like a fraud or something like that. They didn't say that at first. They said that towards the end. So to sum this all up for you, what my mother-in-law did to us is, after my children were taken away for 2 whole years, after phone calls to her when she did have the kids of my husband bawling, saying, don't you want us to get our kids back? And them saying, no, we really don't right now, you're not fit to be a parent. After not supporting us during the most hardest time, after having the kids taken from her because she was selling drugs, after everything that she has put my family through, we still gave her a chance to see those grandkids again because they love her. They love her. And that is what is so fucking sad, is that we have to do what's best for our kids. We really do. And right now, it is extremely unsafe for her to be anywhere near my kids. Absolutely no way. Now, her husband came down to drop off some of our clothes, and we told him, like, he didn't even know. He didn't even know what she did. He was like, why is everybody, like, kind of not talking? And we're like, your wife, he never knows what's going on. Even in court, they wouldn't let him come into the courtroom because he wasn't suing us. She was. She had it all. She had rights to my grandkids, to see them whenever the hell she wanted. She had everything. Her house was basically built around her grandkids, like my son and daughter and then my husband's brother's kids, built around those kids. And now, what's the point? She's not going to be using half the shit that's in her yard anymore because my kids will never be there again. And if they are, somehow, if for some reason my husband wants her to see them, he'll be there. She'll never be alone with my kids again. Absolutely not. So to sum it up again, after losing my kids for 2 years, after seeing what pain we went through, after how much hard work we went through to be the good parents that we are today, she takes my children back to the place that they were taken. And you gotta think to yourself, why did she do that though? What was her motive? What was her ultimate motive? Like, what did she want CYS to do? CYS came to our house the next day, actually, because it was a report and they had to come. The supervisor actually sent out our old caseworkers and parenting instructor because they fucking felt so bad for us that they were like their eyes were like, we're fucking sorry this is happening. Like, we are so sorry. But, you know, unfortunately, we did tell you this was going to happen when you had your kids returned back to you. Like, they say that, like, whenever children, if they do get returned home, usually the same people who would call again and always try to cause trouble, and then eventually it subsides. But took my children to children and youth over bites, over bugs that we took care of immediately. We didn't waste any fucking time. We let her have those kids for that night. We did the entire bed bug boot camp. There is not one bug in that fucking house right now. No way. Absolutely not. But again, what was her ulterior motive? What was it? She had everything. She is a manipulative, complete liar. She's going through a ton of health problems, which wouldn't fit to see my kids right now anyway. Which she's not gonna get my kids anyway because, like, her health issues. Imagine if she's driving and, you know what I mean, like, something happens and my kids die over her health issues. Like, there's just way too much. There's so much more to this that she had it all. So the only time she's gonna see my kids from now on is through pictures. And that's what put off filming for so long, is because during that period of time, we were doing the boot camp. We were cleaning daily, like, to the point where sweat was, like, pouring off of us. Our neighbors actually watched the kids while we did, like, half the shit that we did, because it was so tedious. Like, the task was so hard to put down all that stuff and to clean, that house inside and out, if there is a bug in that house, man, like, let it come out of wherever it's hiding, because if it walks on that floor, it's just gonna die. It's gonna blow up in 1,000 pieces. Like, that dramatic. Like, it's gonna be on SpongeBob whenever, like, Plankton, like, he blows up in the mushroom. But yeah. That's all I gotta say. Is, she's never gonna see my kids again. She ruined it for herself. We're actually thinking about, because the kids are actually, my son is starting Head Start again. My daughter's starting Head Start. When he turns 5, he's gonna go to preschool. We have a preschool who actually called us a few days ago, and we scheduled a, interview, almost, where he goes and they need to make sure he's potty trained and stuff like that. And another thing is how bad she talks about us, yet she thinks that we don't know what she says. Like, I have proof of everything that she says. She's completely two-faced. She says one thing on text message and then the other thing to someone else. And it's terrible. It is terrible how bad she talks about us. There's nothing she can do to ruin our lives. She has tried. Trust me, she's tried. There's nothing. She can't take anything away from me. She can't anything. She reported me for a few things, which was, like, basically a laugh at her, because whenever they come to investigate, they actually check through all that stuff, and, like, they have to say who made the report for things like that. Everything's been taken care of. She's what's known as like a psychopathic or psychological liar. And again, we are not angry. We are very, very hurt. We're shocked, we're hurt, and it's only hurting the kids. So you ruined this for yourself. You ruined it for the kids. You did. And you don't even give a shit about, she doesn't even give a shit about her son. Like, I understand when you have kids, it's not about us anymore, trust me. It's about the kids. But I could tell you stories of my husband being beaten, bloody, while she watched whenever he was little. Maybe one day I'll get into that. You know, my mother and I have had problems in our past, and I know I've spoke about that in my videos, but my mother and I are at least intelligent enough to know that I'm still her daughter and she's still my mother, and there's always room for forgiveness. But with this woman, she has burnt so many bridges with so many people that nobody ever wants to give her a chance. Not even her other children. It's very sad. So my advice to you guys, truly, honest and truly my advice, for in-laws who just never seem to quit, I'm going to tell you right now, it never stops. It will never end. They will fight and they will fight, and I know this battle with me isn't over, and I know for you guys it's not over either. They'll put you down, they'll say you're doing something wrong, they'll always have something to say about the way you raise your kids. They'll always try, they'll call CYS on you, they will sometimes, maybe you have the mother-in-law that's completely kind to you like mine is, and then completely go behind your back and talk absolutely terrible to everybody they can. I'm telling you right now, it does not get better. So my advice to you is just leave. I know to some people they need a break. There are amazing nannies. There are house cams you can put in your house that you can watch 24/7 while your kids are being watched. It is incredible. Like, there are so many ways that your kids can be watched if you needed it. If they need, you know, interaction, take them to the library. Our library does like community days where they'll bring a bunch of kids. There's playgrounds. There's, in the wintertime, that's what I'm saying, like community days. There's a place to play. There's a place for kids to interact. Don't ever worry about words, because at the end of the day, those kids are falling asleep in their beds at your house. Those kids aren't living with your in-laws. Those kids don't call them mommy and daddy, which is another thing she did a long time ago when my kids were taken. She trained my son to call her mommy. I have proof of all that. It's so sick. Some people are so mentally ill, I'm not even kidding, that there's no saving it. So I wish her the best, though. I really do. I hope she gets better with her health. I hope that, you know, things get better for her. I hope that she changes, because it's at the point in her time of her life where she really has a lot to lose. Let me tell you that right now. Once you reach a certain age, you know there's pretty much no backtracking. So I hope she's just very careful. I really do. And I wish her the best. Again, I'm going to say this is all alleged. Innocent until proven guilty. I feel like I got everything out that I needed to get out in this video. If she ever sees my kids again, it will be supervised. And that's if the courts ever, for some reason, which I know they won't, rule out that, you know, she can see them every once in a while. But we have changed. We've done everything we can to be the people we are today. And like I said, if you're having trouble and you're upset thinking that, you know, oh, you know, why doesn't my mother-in-law like me, or why doesn't my stepdad or whatever like me, it won't get better. Maybe if like a life-threatening thing happens to them and like they change, but in my experience for over 6 years going on now, it doesn't change. It does not change. I could tell you guys so many stories, so many lies that were spread about me, so many my nude photos sent by her to people, just absolutely horrible, like menacing, like evil things. But just remember, at the end of the day, those kids that the mother-in-law is begging for from you, they're going to sleep in your bed. They're calling you mommy and daddy. They're your kids. They're your babies. Don't worry about it. Try to explain to them that, like, you know, maybe grandma's just going away for a while, or that make sure you never, ever, ever say to your kids that, like, oh, grandma doesn't love you or something like that, because I know that my mother-in-law loves my kids. She adores those kids, and I'm very grateful for that. But she really dug her own hole and now she's laying in it, and she will. So that was the story to my ending of my video. In regards to my update video, this was the second part. Again, I won't be putting drama like this on my channel, either of these channels. If I really need to talk about something, I'll post it, but for now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not going to be doing this much often. Now, I am going to be starting a series where I talk about very deep, potentially dramatic in the past stories, like, for example, like the time I was molested, like what came out of it, my advice to you guys, because I know that the advice about in-laws in this video wasn't very good. I'd like to give the advice first before I tell the story. Things about bullying, just very deep, potentially graphic stories about my past, how I got over it, and how I'm living it now. And this is why I'm not ashamed to say that I had bed bugs, like at one point. Literally, it was all taken care of. Number one, we didn't waste any time. Number two, bugs don't discriminate. Number three, drug addicts. I always explain that I'm a recovering addict. I am a human being. Stop throwing stones at a glass house unless, you know, you're perfect. Nobody here's perfect. We all go through things. We all make mistakes, you know, and we're always going, to either be praised or put down about it. And unfortunately for me, I get put down about it in my personal life because my past will follow me forever like a ghost. Like, you're always looked at different when you're a recovering drug addict. You're always looked at as somebody less than. And that is completely okay, because then that gives me a chance to show that I am a beautiful person inside. Like, I may be a very bad, like, bitch at sometimes, like, terrible, like, mean. I'm not saying a bad bitch, you're right. Like, I'm a basic bitch. But, I could be very hateful sometimes, and because I'm very hurt over something, you know what I mean? But overall, like, I like to spread love and compassion, and I like to show those people who think that about me. It's like when people comment hate on my channel, most of the time I respond, and I try to say, oh, I understand where you're coming from. What can we do to fix this? Like, I'll try better next time, or I'm sorry you feel that way. And then 90% of the time, they change their mind, and we end up becoming friends, and I end up getting a new family member in our family. So it's always good to just be honest and just take life as it comes. So I love you guys. I hope this video was a little bit informative in what I went through in regards to not being able to film, in regards, shut the fuck up, Sarah. Okay, I love you guys, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.